Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to talk about CalFresh. Maybe you have heard of it or use it yourself. California EBT is the California version of the federal food stamp program that many people enjoy and get by with supplements from, and I am one of them, and I want to expose a loophole, unfortunately, and I want to start this video with an explanation of why I'm exposing this loophole, and it is in support of UBI, which people should already be getting. I realize it's not my decision to make. However, you'll see in a second why it makes no difference whose decision it is when it's proper, because it's going to happen regardless. So this is what happens, what can happen, and what is happening with many people's EBT. Turns out, if you buy something from a grocery store, you can return it for, sometimes no questions asked. Sometimes it's an actual spoiled product. Sometimes it's just defective or not, and you just didn't want it. But if you bought it with EBT, many stores will give you the option to get cash back. And you see where this goes. If you're friends with an employee at the store, it's just a little while before it's organized and people's EBT is getting liquidated into cash in an organized, concentrated fashion. Okay, so I'm not exposing something that's not already happening. This is going on. And problem is that people can get cash. They should already be getting cash. I mentioned UBI, it's subsidies for basic needs in principle. We don't actually do that here in this country that I know of. There's cash assistance, but it's not exactly the same thing. It's still very, very tightly regulated. And I'm talking about food, shelter, clothing, all the main things that people need to get by, not just, a couple $100 a month. So you may or may not agree with UBI, but what ends up happening, lastly, on this subject is people become fraudsters when they're just trying to, sometimes buy toiletries because the food portion of EBT does not pay for that. You cannot buy a toothbrush with EBT unless it's the cash version. They have it very tightly coded and regulated so that when you go into any store that supports it, everything on inventory falls into one of two categories: cold food or cash EBT purchasable items. And most people don't get the cash. I don't get the cash version of EBT. And I've only discovered this on accident. And I'm 100% sure people are exploiting this because it's possible. And it's kind of a no-brainer once you think about it. You buy something, return it, they give you the option to get cash back. Before you know it, people are going to the store for something other than to buy food. They're going to the store just to return something. That's a burden on the store. It turns the people into fraudsters, unfortunately, because their intention is to defraud the card at that point. And it's all for the thing that they're supposed to be getting regardless. These people are legitimately hungry, or else they wouldn't have got on food stamps to begin with, most of them. And if they need the cash for a toothbrush, come on. That's not something to lose your benefits over. That's not something to go to jail for. Just, trying to buy a toothbrush, which is probably, 90% of the time. And unfortunately, because it's an exploit and it's fraudulent, it becomes intertwined with other criminal activity. So it's one of those enforceability things. And last thing I'll say about this is, if your main strategy as an administrator, when you roll out a program like CalFresh, is to keep people stupid about the ways it can be defrauded, if your hope is that the truth is never going to come out about all of the gaping security problems with it and some kind of, unenforceable regulations that you impose on it and project at the people and demand that they obey, that's a bad plan. That's what we call bad management, bad planning. And I'm going to say it one last time. People deserve UBI. Before there is a single billionaire in this country, people deserve to have clean water, food, shelter, clothing, electricity, free education, retirement, some level of dependable quality health care, and all of the things that they need to survive just so that they can choose to work. Otherwise, it's slave labor at gunpoint by process of elimination. And when you have that environment, what do you think is going to happen? Own your problems, administrators. Own your problems that you create with your rules, your expectations, and your refusal to change, your refusal to even communicate or understand the problems. Reach out with questions or comments to whiteheartrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.